We have OnlyFans, and then we have like the sex work industry, and then we have like actors. Is there a difference between these industries, or are we all fundamentally selling our body in some way?
Honestly, I think that selling your body, like if we're going by that definition, being in the army is worse than being on OnlyFans.
Wow.
You're selling your body to the government.
Now, some might find what Mia Khalifa there said to be controversial, but the numbers actually don't lie. It looks like more and more young Americans are actually on her side of this issue, and we're gonna show you those stats. Now, if you're not familiar with Mia Khalifa, she's a former adult film star, now an OnlyFans model, and she did receive pushback for what she said, implying that being a part of the army is in fact worse. And she clarified, saying, to everyone up in arms about my statement that being in the military is worse than being on OnlyFans because you're selling your body to the government, we're both serving this nation. What do you think they sent for morale back in the day? More troops or Marilyn Monroe in his skirt?
Damn.
I like that. I like that. That was good. She goes on to say that the beautiful part about OnlyFans is that you don't have to take your clothes off in the military. You do, however, have to go destabilize a country and die in the name of crude oil if the president is in the mood that week. And so I don't know Mia Khalifa, but she woke up this week and chose violence when it came to her political commentary. Where's the lie? Where is she wrong about literally any of this? But to be fair though, while she is saying it's worse in these ways to be a part of the military, she's also not saying that the path of OnlyFans is right for everyone. She says it's so dangerous to simply say sex work is empowering, because I would never say that to an 18-year-old whose digital footprint hasn't been tainted by mistakes yet. Now, she, relatively early on in her career, was very controversial for some of the videos she was in, and there's obviously a lot of racism tied up in adult movies and all that. She has been controversial for a long time. She's received tons of racist and even violent reactions ever since then. So she understands how that stuff can follow you and crazy people hound you for literally years. But she does say sex work can be empowering to people who have found their way into the industry under less ideal circumstances. It can be an extremely empowering way to take your power and bodily autonomy back, but it's never something I would recommend as a plan A. But let's get to the whole point of this. She's saying that it's worse to do that, to go into the military, to sell your body in this way to the government. Turns out not a lot of people want to do it anymore. The Army has met about only 40% of its enlisted recruiting mission for the current year, with just over 3 months left in the fiscal year. The final quarter, the summer, is typically when the services recruit the most candidates following high school graduation, because the military tries to snap people up right then. They're having a harder and harder time meeting their recruiting goals. And isn't that just a shame?
Yeah, it might have been because Trump called people who sign up for the military suckers and losers. Okay, isn't that way worse than what Mia Khalifa said? But if Trump says it, of course, all right wingers go, that's no big deal. Yeah, military suckers and losers, but you should sign up for the military. Okay, so now what's the reality? First of all, whether it's me or my kids when they grow up, if the country's under attack, what would I tell them? Okay, I would say, oh no, you gotta go and defend folks, because that's what progressives do. We fight for someone we don't know. And so if we were being attacked, I would definitely be in favor of everyone, all citizens, in however they can, defending the country, okay? But we don't ever get attacked. Like there's like random acts of terrorism, and some have been awful and spectacular in the damage that they have done. And in the last decade, they've been like 90% right-wing terrorism. I don't know who to counterattack. Do we counterattack Oklahoma? I don't know, right? Because back in the day, when random Muslims attacked us, we attacked random Muslim countries that didn't even attack us. So I don't know if we're supposed to attack Nebraska or Oklahoma or pick a random right-wing country. Oh, Philippines, Duterte's right-wing. Let's go attack them, right? But so no, the reality is, in terms of wars, we've not been attacked at all since what, the British in 1812? So I get 9/11. They were also terrorists, just with bigger guns, called planes in that case. So what actually happens is we start offensive wars nonstop. We're in like a dozen countries now. Iraq had nothing to do with 9/11. We attacked them and killed 1 million people anyway. So under those circumstances, would I tell anyone, including my kids, to sign up for the military? Hell no. What are you gonna go die for ExxonMobil? Are you nuts? So how can they fix that? Make it the United States military and make it the Department of Defense.
Yeah.
And then people will sign up. But if it's the Department of Offense for Chevron, hell to the no. No way, no way. You ought to have your head examined if you signed up for that. They're gonna send you to kill random people for random corporations. That's just a fact.
Yeah.
So now, in terms of sex, I have another apparently controversial thing to say. I don't think sex is any big deal at all. I think it's just another very normal bodily function. And the whole world has lost their mind over it. Like, oh, sex, it's so celestial. And you know, it involves like your soul, and you're sharing your soul. And God is, God, do you approve? Is it? Can I go ahead? Right? No, sorry, no. The celestial beings don't approve. It's just a bodily function like playing basketball. I know a lot of people say, oh no, that's outrageous. Your soul, it involves your soul. No, it involves your penis and your other genitalia, your vagina. That's what it involves. Like your elbow and your knee. I'm saying super normal things that people will find incredibly outrageous. It's no big deal. So this whole thing of like, can you compare the military to sex workers? They should be so lucky. Sex workers give people joy. The military kills people.
Yes, as some people know, the military recruiting is an issue I've talked and written about a lot for years. And this is just another year in this declining trend of their ability to effectively recruit. And I think it exemplifies how the American century is over. You don't have anything to sell people on. You don't have a national cause to rally people behind. And they've seen through, after this quagmire in the Middle East now for 2 decades, how farcical the whole premise of enlistment is. They try to sell people on the ability to find stability, steady income, the ability to buy a home, and a signing bonus that even now, when it's around $50,000 up front for enlisting, that's not enough. They're blaming it on, negative sentiment spread by, in part, TikTokers, but it's kids who see through these lies. Military recruiters are going to lie to you because they have quotas. You're not going to necessarily get the job they promise you. You're not going to necessarily make friends last a lifetime, get free college, have this cushy life waiting for you when you get out. Because one, you're lucky if you get out alive. You're even luckier if you get out without a lifetime of PTSD. There is nothing that they can sell people on right now effectively who haven't already drank the American Kool-Aid. I got a break from Cenk. If you're being attacked, I don't necessarily think there's a moral obligation for people to stand up and fight back because it's probably a byproduct of our foreign policy over the last several decades. It's a consequence of our actions worldwide. So I don't support that. I don't want any part in trying to defend this. The entire American myth, as it manifests globally through jingoism, is not something I would fight to defend. I don't think there's a moral obligation to do that. So I think the reason we're seeing the decline in recruitment and the surreptitious practices that they've employed over the past few years. Like for instance, I saw the Army in 2020 lying to kids on Twitch, trying to get them to think they told them they were signing up for a contest where they can win an Xbox controller. And when they clicked the link, it was a recruiting form. When you're doing that, you're not selling someone on the idea and the actual concept of enlistment. You're pulling a bait and switch to trick children. And they let kids as young as 13 fill out that form. International law around military recruiting is that you can't engage with people younger than 16. Most countries don't allow it at 18, but we allow it at 16. And that doesn't stop them from talking to kids in cafeterias, which if you don't let military recruiters into your high school cafeteria, you risk losing federal funding. So what is this ultimately about? This is the government and the military trying to find kids who desperately need stability or income or any sort of economic advantage in life to get ahead because it's so hard to do so organically. And they're finding these vulnerable people and tricking them into enlisting. And I'm glad more and more people are seeing through it because you absolutely under no circumstances whatsoever should ever enlist in the military.
Yeah, but
yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, really fast. And this is, of course, if it's not clear, because we don't, just in case, this is an indictment of the recruiters, the military leadership, the politicians who help to, create and sustain these myths, the, military Hollywood industrial movie complex that makes movies that are designed to make you want to join up, and the corporations who are inspiring many of the missions. Lots of regular people join the military because they don't have any desire to go kill people. They don't want to go, defend Chevron's oil profits and all that. A lot of them do genuinely buy that this is about service, this is about defending your country, or that this is about, the economy's terrible. How the hell am I supposed to buy a house? Well, they're telling me I'll get this money. People join up for all sorts of good reasons and are good people, but they are lied to. And we have to make clear what those lies are. I think Jordan did a great job of doing that.
Yeah, so last thing is, don't get tricked by the recruiting bonus. Incoming service members make about $19,000 a year. And all that support the troops stuff is total marketing so they could funnel trillions of dollars to the richest defense contractors in the world. It doesn't actually go to the troops. And if you want a relative context here, now Mia Khalifa is a giant star. You're not gonna make this kind of money. But she makes $10,000 a day.
Whew.
So she would make the equivalent of a service member in the beginning, their full salary for the whole year, she'd make it in 2 days. I did the math, by the way. That's 3.65 million a year.
That's not bad.
Wow. It might be
Good for
OnlyFans, but that's a lot of fans.
Yeah. So we couldn't make that much money. Could we make like half that much money?
I don't know, tyt.com/join.
Thanks for watching The Young Turks, really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR, so those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.